No, 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 no. Almost getting there. Oh, I seen it earlier.
KARL SHAKUR is an adventure photographer and visual artist based in New York City who has taken social media and the world of video making by storm. Fueled by an innate passion for adventure, KARL has traveled across the globe with his camera, capturing the beauty of humanity and nature wherever he goes. While specializing in travel, lifestyle, and aerial photography, KARL has more recently made a name for himself through his unique ability to teach filmmaking skills through short-form video content online. KARL has produced some of the most jaw-dropping images to grace the internet, and his trained artist eye has quickly earned him status as a globally acclaimed photographer and coveted collaborator. This is Creator Convo with KARL SHAKUR. Well, thank you for being here. I guess we'll start with, your background and your backstory. Where are you from originally?
Okay.
Then how did you come to, just even start on social media, posting content?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Nigeria. I grew up in Nigeria. Both my parents are traditional African parents, which means like lawyer, doctor, engineer kind of vibes.
Wow.
So grew up in Nigeria. I moved to the U.S. for college. I was actually born in the U.S. while my parents were on vacation, so I'm a U.S. citizen by birth, but I grew up in Africa, moved to the U.S. for college, and I moved to study architecture. And while I was in school studying architecture, I was bored out of my mind because I was in Kansas. I was in the middle of Kansas in this town called Manhattan, Kansas. And that's how I developed I was looking for like just any way at all to kind of like develop my, like to spend time. And I just stumbled upon photography through social media. These two guys called Street Etiquette back in the day, I forget Joshua Kissy and someone else, found their work, they inspired my stuff, and then I just like, maybe I could try and do this stuff as well. Picked it up, and the rest is history. That's kind of like how the whole thing started.
That's super cool. And you started making content in Kansas?
Kansas, yeah. In Kansas, I was just taking photos of the stuff that was around, taking photos of my friends, and then started getting more into travel, and I occasionally drive from Kansas to like Grand Canyon was like 14 hours away from my campus. I made that drive more than once. Drove to Wyoming a few times. Yeah, and then slowly, by the time this is around my sophomore year in college, by the time I got to my 6th year with my master's, I'd built a little bit of an audience and began to travel for work, which is crazy. It was like a 4-year period of doing that.
So at what point did you know that architecture wasn't?
Oh, I never knew. By the time I graduated, I was just like, all right, Mom, I graduated in the summer. I was like, by December, I'm going to come back home. I'm going to look for a job, but let me just give me a couple months. When I run out of money, I'm going to come home and figure it out. And I just never run out of money. So I'm still going. Anytime I couldn't go back home now and look for a job. That is
Do they tease you and be like, "Oh, but architecture stuff"?
No. They fully support. They fully support that. Obviously, it comes from a place of wanting the best for you. Parents they're always trying to make sure that they're setting you up for success. So they want to make sure that the job that you are in is stable, especially African parents, which these are folks who truly understand the concept of not having. Having grown up with people who didn't have or come from a situation where there was a lot of lacking, so they understand what not having looks like, and they want the best for their children, so they're trying to set us up to succeed as much as possible. So they're like, these are the jobs that I know will provide for your future family, and for me when I get old, this is what we're gonna do. So the intentions were pure, but it didn't always lead to like allow me to explore. I feel like in Western society, like the kids have a lot more opportunity to creatively explore at a young age, but there's more of an emphasis on academic success and like excellence in that sense, in my household. But which kind of like led me to this, because I feel like a lot of my stuff, like it's very based on architecture, based on like the composition of stuff, and like I feel like the architecture that I learned in school heavily influences the work that I do today.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you think that translates into just framing and composing a shot?
Yeah. I think very, very heavily. I feel like I'm slightly a little bit more advanced when it comes to like photography than the average person, specifically because I've had, like, in school I had a lot of experience with Photoshop and composition, and I understand these design principles that help to make a building visually appealing to like the passerby, to the human eye, and I kind of take those principles and I apply them to whatever the work that I'm doing is right now. So yeah, I feel like it definitely just draws some comparison.
That's super cool. Yeah, so you understand like leading.
Exactly.
The third.
Party. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, absolutely. All that stuff is like second nature to me, and I can almost like see it. If it's not right, it feels wrong.
Yeah.
Versus, it doesn't really come as natural to some people.
It's funny because I can relate to you in the whole kind of parents and stability, because they're immigrants. So even I was a film major in school, but I was also majoring in business as well. And, the whole time my mom's kind of just like, well, there's just know that you can go in this path, but in case it doesn't work out.
You have a back door. You have a second route to go to.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because once you reach a certain level of success in the creative field, it's funny too. Now I even try to be more cognizant of, it's like, because we always, we want to earn a living, we want to make money, but it's almost like art and commerce don't always go hand in hand sometimes. So how do you find that balance and juggle of like, okay, I need to earn an income, make money, like leave money for my children, then also make sure that I'm making decisions that are strictly on the art. And
well, I've been lucky enough to be in a situation where the work that I've been desired for is the authentic work that I create. So a lot of the work that I get to make is a general exploration of what I'm looking for in life and the stuff that I'm trying to get. But I genuinely like to put both of them in two buckets, very similar to like how I was when in school. When I'm in school, I need to study and make sure that I get good grades so that I can graduate. And then I get to come back here, come back home, come back and explore creatively and do all that stuff. So obviously the other stuff is going to pay the bills, but I'm always making sure that I have personal campaigns, like personal creative journeys that I want to take myself on, so that I'm always working on bettering my craft or trying to find something new, creatively. So I'm always touching both. I'm gonna pay the bills. I'm gonna do a couple of ads in there. You're gonna see a couple of sponsor posts here and there, but I'm gonna have some other thing that I'm working on that I can use to connect with the community that I'm building, or to explore my creative.
Yeah, that's cool, because I watch a lot of interviews and stuff too, and I even hear certain actors being like, sometimes their mentality is, it's like, I do one for me, one for them, where it's like, I'll do a movie or take a role where I know it can be more commercial, more appealing, but maybe then making sure that I'm leaving room to do something that's a bit more avant-garde, or something that fulfills the soul creatively, and all of that. Another thing that I find interesting, I love asking different creatives too, is how do you, with social media and stuff, comparison is the thief of joy, and I'm very aware of what other people are doing, and I love feeling inspired. So how do you find that line between?
Wow. Yeah. I think that's probably something that I've struggled with the most, especially being surrounded by such creative, like absolutely creative minds. Like there's this guy on YouTube now that I'm loving his work, Gox. I don't know if you've heard it. Probably, of course.
Yeah.
That, like, see, this young little Mexican kid I think it's from Mexico City, who's just like pure savant. And I almost have to stop myself from like wanting to really like assimilate into other forms of art, because it's not beneficial in that sense. What I do is I try and consume work purposefully and mindfully. So like if I open up my phone now, which I'm gonna do, if I click on Instagram, it's locked. I don't have the ability to lock it, and if I want to lock it, I have to go into this specific app and wait 30 seconds. There's a timer that I have to wait 30 seconds. And the more that I use it during the day, the more the timer increases. So like if I've been scrolling all day, if I needed to open it now, it'd take me 120 seconds, 2 minutes of just staring at this phone. And if your phone locks, it goes away and resets. So kind of having these like locks in place to stop yourself from just mindlessly like falling into the trap of just like getting the dopamine hits. I have those in place. And then when it is time for me to consume stuff in order for me to develop my skills or to take little bits and pieces from photography, from gods, from whoever it is that I'm trying to consume from, then it feels like if I'm the one making the choice, okay, I'm looking for pieces that will help for this future thing that I'm working on. Let me see what people are doing. Let me see what I can take. And then I open up, watch a bunch of films, watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Then it feels a little bit better. It feels less, I'm less likely to compare myself and more likely to look at it in like an evaluative light and like, oh, that's interesting. And like, you know, rather than, oh, I wish I did that, or I want to do that, or I wish that was me, you know. So putting those blocks in place help so much. Like, I've suffered so much with seeing stuff on the internet, and I find that just mindfully consuming social media helps. It's a great deal.
Yeah, especially so you can actually have time to recharge, and then when you look at something, you don't feel so negative about yourself. Exactly. Like, I'm inspired and wanting to. Yeah, Gox is great too, and I saw he did kind of like a breakdown where he explained one of his videos, and what I found cool was he was pulling just a lot of stuff from music videos. So he is a student too, and he was pulling stuff like certain cloning effects or certain whatever it is from stuff that inspires him. Exactly. He uses it in a positive way instead of a negative way, which is super cool. Yeah. So how often do you movies, music? What's like your source of inspiration?
Oh man, recently, luckily we have these different little hubs, these little corners of the internet that help to curate these tiny little spaces. So I have TikTok folders full of a whole bunch of stuff, like this website called iCandy that you know about. Like I'm combing their stuff consistently. My Pinterest is probably my second most used app on my phone. Like there's always these tiny little bits and pieces. I truly feel like I'm a social artist first, because that like a lot of people, their start comes from, oh, maybe their dad gave me their camera and then they discovered photography through that connection, or they grew up with a camera in the house and then like that's how they discovered video. But I discovered video and photography from social media. And I was like, whoa, these guys are doing this cool thing. Maybe I can do this cool thing too. So social media is the art for me, whatever that form that takes. It could be like claymation, it could be photography. I don't know what that is. So I'm looking for ways to entertain the audience, and the specific audience that I like to cater to is social media, you know? So I'm always digesting little bits and pieces that I think will be suitable for social media, because that's just what I like to create for. I'm sure it'll change in some time. Maybe this is going to be some other thing that I'm interested in later, but the stuff that I'm consuming is probably more attuned to. So I didn't even know how to ask a question.
No, that's cool. That makes me think too, how do you think of like aspect ratios and stuff too when you're filming? Are you filming horizontal, cropping vertical, shooting 4:3? So it's
so I'm filming for whatever the medium is. So like currently, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing currently is for Instagram, so it's 9:16. Even I did a anamorphic color test recently of one of the anamorphic lenses that I got, and I shot vertical anamorphic, so the streaks were like that. Yeah, just because I know where it's gonna live, I know what I want to use it for. If I wanted to do something else for another time, I'd do it that way. But I like to create specifically for the medium. Like a lot of the stuff that I do is shot listed, like very, very detailed, fully planned out, and there's almost like no wiggle room for like exploration during the process of production. That I know exactly what I want. I know exactly how many shots that I need, and I just move from there. So depending on where it's going to be posted, I create for that medium.
Where do you think that love for pre-production came from?
I think it came from school.
Yeah.
Yeah, like truly planning to execute beforehand saves so much time, especially if you're trying to create in a plentiful, like in a large amount. You have to plan, like sitting aside, planning the shots, coming up with a script and the flow of things helps with also getting a very cohesive piece in the end. You know, if one thing that I'm always trying to create in all whatever like pieces that I make is a narrative through and through. Starts here, ends here. This is what the protagonist needs. This is what the protagonist gets. This is how it starts. This is how it ends. How can I continue to draw the audience along? And in order to do that, you have to have a compelling story, or at least an interesting story, or at least a story in the first place. And the only way that I know how to do it, some people are very, very natural at just like whip up the camera, say it, and they bring you along. For some reason, my brain just doesn't work that way. I need to be able to write things down, even if it's an opportunity that I don't know what I'm gonna get. I have a rough idea. If I'm going to shoot a festival, for example, I know like, okay, I'm probably gonna get some cool photos. So maybe I can make the story about the desire to put down the camera or something like that. And then I allow the exploration to take me, but I know like, okay, at some point I have to say this line and that line. That's just, it feels a lot more authentic like that to me, which is ironic because it's written, but it feels like more of an exploration of my inner mind when I do it that way, and not like I feel like without that scripting, I don't have the opportunity to give you an inside look of what's truly going on.
Yeah, and it's also direct too, because you spent the time thinking of what you're going to say, so it's like the finished product.
Exactly, it's like manicured and straight to the point and well packaged. You know?
Yeah, and it's you're saying exactly what you want to say, as opposed to like sometimes it may take a long-winded route to get to. Like, no, this is exactly what I want to say, and exactly like that time,
and it just hits right.
Because you're doing more YouTube now, right? So how much time are you allocating towards that? And
wow. I mean, the last time I uploaded was I think like 3 months ago, which is by choice, specifically because I took a break from that to kind of water the garden of short form a little bit. And I'm coming back to YouTube, but to give you a little bit of context, for like an 8 to 10 minute long video, it would take me like 3 weeks to fully film, like concept, film, and edit. 3 weeks to a month, which is not sustainable. But however, when I finish the pieces, it feels like they're full of love. You know, they're full of like, yes, and then people can feel it when they're consuming the piece. They're like, yes, I feel so stoked to just be involved in just like consuming this piece, and that's I feel like so valuable.
Yeah, that's cool, because the more time you have to put into a video, and length of the actual video, you can almost show more of yourself.
The ultimate goal is to, one, get people together, and two, get people outside making stuff as well. Those are the two things that I'm ultimately focused on. And if I can hit either with whatever I create, if it's okay, this inspires people to get outside and to like pick up their camera and do something, or to pick up whatever their art form is and do it, then I know that I've succeeded. And especially if it makes them feel like they want to do it, that's when you know you scored.
That's the best. Yeah, I guess that leads to two questions. I'll ask the first one. How did you, because I feel like you teach a lot online too, so do you think the love of teaching came from school, and why do you love giving all these tips and tricks and stuff like that?
Well, I was looking for a way to sustainably keep making stuff, and in the sense that I needed something that was successful. I needed something to that was valuable both for the algorithm and for myself, and I felt like teaching was the sweet spot, specifically because I was providing value for people. It started a lot. I can't even remember.
And were you making stuff that you wanted to see, or that was...
Yeah. So it's like I wish somebody could teach. It started from a process of trying to justify. That's what it was. Okay, so architecture. When you're in school, you design this building, and then you sit in front of a panel, and they're like, "Why did you make that choice? Why did you make this choice?" And you kind of have to bullshit your way into explaining. All right, so I did this because the flow of circulation of the crowds, people are gonna go here and gonna do this, and you kind of justify your process, and then you're graded based on your ability to showcase your idea and how well you're able to transmit your idea to the audience. And I feel like I initially started showcasing what went into making my photographs as a way to show people why I was doing the crazy stuff that I was doing, like hiking where I was hiking, or the long drives it took me to get to wherever I was getting, and just to show people this is what went into making this, so that they could appreciate it in a deeper way. And then I slowly started to fall in love with the process of teaching. And then it became incredibly popular, and I was like, I already like this, might as well hop on. So last year I had a very, very long stint of like really, really diving into the teaching, and how I was able to express myself was the vehicle with which I transmitted the teaching. So rather than just sitting down talking segments, I would get outside and I would do stuff. I would use a C-stand and get weird angles. I'd have weird lighting. I'd have these different little vignettes that I was constantly practicing, trying to switch things up on a frequent basis. So it was almost like a mental workout on a consistent basis that I feel like opened up my eyes to seeing stuff in such a unique way. That last year was such an important year for me creatively.
That's great.
Yeah.
And because you famously you posted every day for how long?
Yeah, it was I think it was 125 days. The original goal was 200 days, but it was I got to 125, and then I got a big campaign that I got to bring a whole bunch of my audience along for the adventure. And then I was directing this stuff in Thailand and in New York, and I was just stretched thing. And then it ended there. I was really, really wanting to get to 200, but it stopped at 125.
I mean, that's still great. Yeah, and what do you think you learned the most from that process of...
Consistency is invaluable. It's like so clutch. Like if you're able to like do something on a consistent basis, you'll be surprised at how much you're able to learn over the course of the process, but also how much like people are able to connect with you, especially when it comes to do something on such a public scale. Showing up, there's nothing as crazy as showing up every day, even if it's like gym or whatever it is. Showing up in a repetitive fashion allows you to improve your skills so much, and also connect with people who feel the same way about something. Yeah. So consistency is such a valuable aspect of how I approach almost everything in my life now. I like to do things in a rhythmic fashion. I have like checklists for every day. If I journal that day, if I did my beard oil, my face routine, or touch the mic. Sorry. I like to have a consistent rhythm throughout the course of my life, because it allows me to kind of like put things on autopilot and coast through, so that then I have more mental real estate to be a better boyfriend or be a better brother. DJ, I've started mixing. Yeah, very down one's mixing.
It's a passion. Go with it. Yeah. It's like a muscle. It's like a creative muscle almost. Yeah, I like the analogy of going to the gym. You know, if you're able to get those reps,
competitiveness. Yeah,
exactly. All of a sudden, just like you're able to lift more weight.
Yeah,
you're able to the creative process of how you're shooting or editing. It just
becomes more fluid. Exactly.
What part of the creative process are you really enjoying now? Because you do everything from obviously the pre-pro to even shooting yourself.
Yes. So right now I'm having a little bit of help from one of my friends who moved to New York City. His name is Frank. He's shooting a bunch of my stuff with me. But I feel like specifically what I'm enjoying is the randomization of stuff. So I'm trying to find different ways to come back to photography, and I'm trying to find different ways to like randomize the process and give myself a creative prompt that I have to come up with a limited amount of time. And that's like been such a an adventurous exploration that I'm very, very excited about. Just trying to force myself to make something in a limited amount of time that is of quality, and then bringing the audience along for the adventure to just see what that making process is like has been so much fun.
So it seems like you give yourself almost like prompts and cues a certain bandwidth to fit within.
Exactly.
It's almost like when you get an assignment.
Exactly.
So do you find that doing that to yourself helps you just stay consistent with posting?
Yeah, I think so, but I feel like the parameters also, without four walls, you can't. I'm gonna find the right analogy to explain this. I feel like the limitations really give me a metric for success. When the possibilities are endless, I find it hard to hold on and to make progress. But when it's like, this is the channel, we can crush in this channel. It's okay if we get 75% of this, but this at least is tangible and attainable. But when it's like so wide and it's like there's so much to make, I could go to India and film Holy, or I could go to Africa and run up the entire coast, so I could go to Antarctica. There's like so much stuff to do in this world. I have to like hone it down. So I have a specific goal for this year my specific goal for this year is to try and cultivate community. So I'm focusing more on opportunities that allow me to connect more with like-minded people or with a massive group of people. And that's what I'm specifically excited for. Next year, I want to do a lot more collaboration, and I'm already thinking of these things ahead of time. So I know that my creative process will meld and fit like working with people in the future. And right now it's just focused more on connecting with community, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It's impossible to do stuff alone.
It really is. And where will this stuff live, do you think? You think you'll still have it live on Instagram and TikTok, or is it something more for YouTube?
I feel like this is an Instagram thing. Instagram is my first love. Instagram has always been my first love. I started off there. I branched out to TikTok when TikTok became a thing, and then posting to YouTube because it allows for a longer format. But I feel like Instagram is oriented for pretty looking stuff. It's just like stuff that looks good, nice compositions, good color. And that's the kind of stuff that I value. I just like stuff that looks nice. So I feel like I'm always going to be primarily making for Instagram. Also because that's where my largest audience is. That's where I'm able to pay the bills. So it feels like it makes sense for me to keep doing that. So I'm going to keep pushing that. Even if like everyone stops using it, I think I'm gonna keep using it.
No, there is a certain pedigree to Instagram. I feel like it's always been the place where you do kind of the more polished stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Do some more raw stuff on like TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
So you started Shakur Club.
Yes, exactly. Man, I feel like that's probably one of the things that us creators people probably overlook a little bit. Like we connect with our audience on a frequent basis online. Like it's hard to post a story. It's hard to see 10,000 people in your mind's eye or 20,000 people in your mind's eye. But when you have 50 people in a room of people who know what you're talking about, are passionate about the same things that you're passionate about, it's such a recharging feeling. It feels like you're going for a reason. Like to feel people, touch people, and have them interact with you physically is so powerful. And I know that's what got me here in the first place, getting to collaborate and meet people. So now I want to create those pockets that allow people to do the same thing for themselves as well. And that's my goal for that.
That's super cool. Yeah. And is it going to be meetups, live events, or what are you
Absolutely. Thinking? On a frequent basis. The goal is to create these different activations in different cities all over the world, where people get to link up and do stuff together, like create whatever it is. And then obviously I have access to a lot of these brands that can make all this stuff happen and give people those opportunities to do stuff in like mind-blowing locations around the world and have fun and create lasting memories that can inspire them to continue to make stuff that can lead to more stuff. That's That's stuff, something that I wish that I had when I was like starting off, that I feel like it's going to be so impactful in the future.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's funny because I saw recently, and I talk about this on a couple different podcast episodes, they did a survey for high school students about what they want to be when they grow up, or what job they want to have. And the number one most fast growing answer is content creator. Wow. And it's interesting because when I was in high school, that wasn't
a thing
remotely what I was thinking about. But it's exciting that now people can be their own brands and take things into their own hands and create their own destiny, if you will. And then hopefully at the forefront of it is art. I guess my question for you is like, why do you think art is so important? Like, you know, obviously we need doctors and lawyers and first responders and all this stuff, but I feel like art's often overlooked, but it feels like it's like a necessity. It's a life force, you know?
I think especially because we're moving so quickly and so decisively in the direction of automation, AI is an important part of how we think and how we operate. People have this deep desire to feel what it's like for another person to be human, to feel someone else's story, or feel something coming from a real person. That I feel like people that's what's leading to a lot of people wanting to create, to reach out, to make that connection more. Secondly, as well, I think it's just a fundamental human. It's part of it being a human being. It's just like a fundamental human experience, like wanting to make stuff. It's one of the first things that us human beings did: put light on a cave and smear like pigment on walls. Like it's so part of being a human being, food, creating, all that stuff, that it's impossible for us to escape it. It's going to be part of what we make forever. It's just that the form in which we make it is going to continue to modify and change.
Yeah. So it seems like you're open-minded to what the future has to offer.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like it's like, because it's inevitable, the only thing to do is to find out how you can properly use it, because it's inevitable. Like AI is going to be, it's on Siri like in a few updates, right? Mm-hmm. It's inevitable. These things are part of our everyday life. The only thing that we can do is to try and step ahead and see how I can inject more humanity into the pieces that I make, to make it more clear that I am behind this stuff and not some other, computer.
Yeah. For me, what I've always loved about the idea of art and making it too is it's an expression of feelings. And I feel like that's what makes everything so human. Even if you don't know how to necessarily release it, you can tell when you experience it. When you hear a song that elicits a feeling. Yeah, or you watch something that gives you goosebumps. And no matter what, I feel like AI, you can train in a certain type of style to be like, okay, you can emulate this type of shot structure, whatever, but the underlying feeling and the emotion, you feel like will always be human.
Yeah, exactly.
And just use it as a tool,
Yeah, this is true. So I feel like my goal is always to create that feeling, because it reminds us of our humanity in the first place. It's like, oh, someone else out there made this, that is giving me this feeling, and kind of reminds us that, okay, yes, I am a person here, I have hands, I'm living in this world, and maybe everything's gonna be fine. That's the goal, to kind of create that commonality with someone else.
Yeah. It's like a hug.
Yes.
It's like everything's
like,
gonna be
like
okay.
A vibe, or like a visual hug, basically. Yeah.
How on the subject of just AI and tech and all that stuff, how often are you keeping up with like gear and reviews? And I know that's another thing that's always changing. So
it's always changing. So admittedly not a lot, specifically because I'm someone who believes like and I know this is incredibly cliche, so please don't sue me. Like I'm someone who believes like the best camera that you have is the one that's on you, or like the best tools are the ones that you have at your disposal. So I'm not necessarily looking to improve like my arsenal, because I know that I can already create something. As soon as we hit the 5D Mark III, 5D Mark IV, I was like, dude, we're done.
Yeah.
We have 4K video, it's over. That's it. I don't need anything else. Like I don't like. I'm very, very comfortable with the stuff that I have because I can make whatever I want to make with that. So long as when it gets to the point where my ability is hampered by my gear, that's when I start to explore. And currently, I haven't reached there yet. Usually, it happens when my gear breaks, and then I just replace it with the exact same piece of gear or a slightly better version because that's what the market is saying. But if it doesn't break, I'm usually not looking to fix it.
Yeah, and I find those things now, it's like there's resolution, which is a component, but it's like, do we really need to do 8K when it's conformed to 4K or whatever?
That's true.
And then all of the log profiles are pretty similar now, whether you have C log or S log or whatever it may be. Exactly. You can color grade it the way you want. And I guess the other thing that I'd assume your most important thing would be is just like focal lengths. Like,
funny enough, you're gonna hate this. You're gonna hate this. Almost all the videos that I've shot over the last, you're gonna hate this. Almost all the videos that, at least on my Instagram, I'm shooting in HD.
Really? 1080?
HD, fully baked.
Wow. No, just
fully baked.
Like a Rec 709 standard profile? Really?
One look over it, done. Because that reduces the process of me getting to the creative idea that I'm thinking. I don't want to go through the process of being finicky with anything. It depends. If I'm trying to make something that is a little different, then I'll go and I'll specifically shoot for that. Or if I'm making something that I know that will benefit from more resolution, then I'll make that. But usually the auto setting, the C1 on my camera is HD. It's HD, Rec 709. Ready to go.
Because you know that's what your output's
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then I guess you do your creative in the framing, the camera movement, and then
it all pieces together.
Okay.
It's like and because the crux of it is the storytelling, people just overlook that stuff. They don't really see. They're not really looking to see that. They're looking to see how I'm telling the story, which is interesting. Yeah.
That's cool. And I know a kind of a trademark of yours is kind of starting it with like a...
Yeah, one of these?
Yeah.
One of these guys? Yes. So like, though it's just those tiny little like wisps of like personality that help to like, that I pepper along all the stuff that I'm doing that can help to detract from like the lack of polish. I feel like it also adds a little bit of, what's the word? No, it's not personality. Like, it adds a little bit of like, fucking skipping. Damn, it's like on the tip of my tongue.
But it feels you.
Charm.
There it is.
God, I got there. Adds a little bit of charm. Adds a little bit of charm, you know?
Nice.
It makes it feel like, this is his thing, you know? This is his thing that he does. And that's the goal, to get somebody like, oh man, I gotta find my thing, man. I gotta do a thing as well to, let me, you know, and then boom, they're making stuff, and then, you know, boom, we've succeeded.
On that note, what advice would you give to people who are looking to make a name for themselves or find their own identity, or just even try to, you know, it is saturated out there. Yeah, what would you say to them?
Play to your differences. We're all incredibly unique human beings, and I feel like the immediate reaction for most people is to try and see what is successful or what is popular and trying to assimilate to that. But I feel like a more interesting move is to find out what's different about yourself and to lean into that. I try and do that specifically because that's how I'm able to set myself apart. No one is better at being yourself than yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you're yourself and you're able to develop those skills, then people get to fall in love. People get attached to it. People get to desire work from you and not an emulation of someone else. So being yourself is a big one, even though it's incredibly cliche, and that was a very big roundabout way of saying that. But you gotta be yourself. Yeah. You gotta be yourself. Then and keep pushing on a consistent basis, and then you get one email, and then you get two emails, and then you make one connection, and then you meet one person, and before you know it, you're hanging out at the tuk-tuk in Thailand doing guidos. Like, yeah, yes.
But it's true. It's like being you is your superpower, you know? I think what makes it hard nowadays is a lot of people don't know who they are necessarily. They try to take bits and pieces from what they see and then like morph and shape into some version. But I guess, take the time to figure out what you like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's not even as bad. That's not even as bad, but it does take a little bit of internal reflection to figure out who am I? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And there has to be some process of trying to dig, like, what do I want to present? Like, where am I coming from? And there's so many people that do this in such a good way. Like, I feel like Emma Chamberlain is such a good example of someone who's unapologetically themselves, that allows people to like kind of like latch on and fall in love. Peter McKinnon is also an excellent example of this.
Yeah.
It's just him. And anyone who's trying to do him, it just comes off as like, hey, that's it, man. You kind of,
What's
up? Oh, we should have started like,
what's up? Yeah. What's up, guys? Just peaked.
Yeah.
But it's true. Yeah, Emma, she's a great example of just what it's like to just sit in front of a camera and just be you. And there's no awkwardness there. It feels like it's intimate. You're a fly on the wall, and you feel like there's no disingenuous.
And some people are blessed with those skills, but a lot of the time it takes practice to get to that point where you're incredibly comfortable with like being on camera like that. So like the practice is not to be ignored as well. Like the repetitions, going back to putting in those reps, allows you to get a lot more comfortable with making on a consistent basis and getting it dialed.
Yeah. And it's funny too, even just like the Nike slogan, just do it. It's so simple, but it's so true. Sometimes we could be in our head so much that we don't even allow ourselves to take that first step.
I have so many perfectionist friends who are like, it's not right. It's not right. And I feel like what that does, it stops them from getting the reps in. It's like, oh, no, I don't like this. I'm not gonna, and then it stops them from making on a continuous basis versus, all right, I didn't quite like this one, but I'm gonna put it out and I'm gonna try and get over to the next one and start pumping more out. And I need to take my advice on this when it comes to the YouTube videos, for example. Like I kind of put those on a pedestal, and I want to make them look a certain way. And if I was able to like explore more, be more experimental, and be like kind of like break down the barriers that are hindering me from clicking that publish button, I feel like it'll make me a better creator, specifically a better YouTube creator. So I can take that advice, and so I want you to know that I truly understand what the hamper, the stop from hitting publish. I get it as well, but sometimes you just gotta do it.
Yeah,
you just gotta do it.
Yeah, it's the only way to learn and grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I find that change is it can be very discomforting.
Yeah,
but allowing yourself to roll with that change, just be at peace with that change is kind of great. Do you have a goal of making films or longer form videos, or even just like a photography book?
I mean, I feel like I've been blessed to connect with like this audience on a consistent basis. I just want to continue evolving that connection with the audience and sort of bring it into the physical plane like more often. I've had one single gallery back, I think it was in 2021, when I had a gallery here in LA. I just want to have more activations like that, opportunities to connect with people, feel the audience, on a frequent, consistent basis. Basically taking what I have online and bringing it in person. There's one of my friends, Sam Newton, who does such a good job of having these like film festivals that he does every year on his birthday, and it's such a good opportunity for like-minded creatives to connect and come together and share work and like stuff, but in person, and comment about stuff, but in person. That is so valuable to me. That's so incredible, and my goal is to continue to do that, but to connect with people in real life.
Yeah, that's super cool. It's funny how so much of our life exists in a digital space.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy how much.
Yeah, and even the thought process being like, oh, let's take that digitally and make it physical. Whoa, take it easy, dude.
Whoa, this guy has crazy ideas.
What are you trying to do? Take what's in, it's for the phone.
Don't bring photos in real life.
Yeah, we don't do that here. No, but that is super cool, and that's why I like still going to movie theaters and stuff too, or just or weirdly people are like, why do you live in LA, or can it be toxic and all this stuff? It's like, in a weird way, it is just it brings all of these people that love similar art forms, and then there are a lot of just like events and activations and stuff here. The same with like New York and a lot of cities, but it is nice because we even met at a like the Avatar premiere, or like a Mercedes thing, you know, and you get to see people in digital form, but there's nothing better than actually getting to meet them in person. And then
you get like a deeper understanding of what their personality is like, and that little bit of color can inform so many artistic decisions, and they can get stuff from you as well. It's so invaluable. It's so important, these like real life connections.
Yeah, and even just being creative with people in person, because you came from just doing a sunset shoot with
my friends.
Tucker.
Tucker. Tomorrow we're going to El Mirage, doing a whole, it's gonna be the hottest day of the year so far.
Wow.
7 hours, 100 degrees. But we have this Aston Martin. I think it's the DB12s, something. I was gonna be driving, mountain, the camera res, was gonna be a whole bunch of stuff. But like, that stuff is so incredibly valuable, because I'm gonna get to rub minds and like hang out with all these different creatives and like take stuff from them, give the stuff to them. Like that, it's so important. And that's why that's my focus for this year.
It's cool hearing you have this mindset on it too, because you know, I kind of came up in 2015, 2016, and it felt very open, where there weren't a ton of people doing the creative travel stuff. So luckily I got to become friends with like Calder and some other people, and we would do trips together. We really enjoyed it. And then, I don't know, then weirdly, because I used to live at 1600 Vine and with like the Viners and these different people. And then all of a sudden it became individualized, or people would format their little groups, and they'd be like, okay, like this, like I'm team 10, I'm this, or you know what I mean? It came almost like competitive. But I feel like it's coming back all the way around now, where it is like, hey, there is a ton of people here,
and it comes in waves.
But there's enough success for everyone. So I love hearing the mentality of, I want to be friends with as many people as I can, shoot with as many people as I can.
There's never been a situation where I've been hurt by collaborating. Like, and that is like, so like, it's one of my truths. It's like, there's never been, I was like, maybe let's make some stuff together. And it hasn't been better, because I am my own mind, and because you're on your own mind. If we come together, there's no way, it becomes a completely different thing that is most times better than what would I've either created by ourselves. So like, if I can do that for other people and give people the platform to make stuff together, to make better stuff that they make individually, I know that I feel like that's truly my life goal. But let me just chill on that. I'll finish designing the website first. We're in the process of designing, by the way.
Very cool.
Making stuff, and
No, but that's great, because you know, you can be Iron Man, someone else can be whatever,
Thor,
but when you come together, you're
the Avengers.
Yeah, and you lift each other up.
Exactly.
That's a cool mentality to have, and I feel like, you know, a lot of people can breed competition, but I don't see the need for it. Who do you like collaborate? Do you have dream collaborations or?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, the person that I'm mostly always collaborating with is Tucker. Tucker Doss is one of my closest friends for about 4 years now. We've worked together in so many different countries, but I'm looking for the opportunity to connect with more people. Somebody that I've recently collaborated with was Adrian Purr. I don't know who, OMG Adrian. He's such a colorful character, has such a magnetic personality, and he actually pushed me more in the direction of like, yo, we should be make stuff with New Yorkers. The career that we're in is so often a very, very lonely experience. Like, there's so many days where I wake up, I have a gym in my building at home. I wake up, I meditate, I do my thing, go to my office, prepare for the day, come out, stretch, go into the gym, order food, cook some food in the house, before I know it, it's 7 p.m. I haven't left the house. I haven't seen another face. I've just been hitting these plastic keys and touching this mouse, staring at these pixels on the screen. And it's just nice to like come back from that, which is why I value opportunities like this. So anyone who has something interesting that they want to make, I'm never going to be the person who shuts it down, because I know how incredibly creatively charging it can be to have these interactions with people.
Yeah, just finding a new perspective.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's funny, even when we were talking about camera gear, it's like sometimes I find myself being guilty of going through little stints where I'm not shooting or I'm not editing and I feel like I just need to recharge or whatever. And then all of a sudden I have like a shopping addiction. I'll go online. I'm like, well, maybe if I get a new lens, or maybe if I get a new camera, maybe if I get like a new softbox, it'll allow me to. But then I try to just go back to my childhood version of myself, where it's like you're saying, the best camera you have is the one that you have on you. So sometimes I'm just like, dude, just go pick it up. Just go take pictures on your balcony, go whatever. And that's also, I recently got into Gox too. And I love that he's just shooting in his home that he lives in with his parents. It's all in his bedroom. He will receive a package and it'll be at his door by his bedroom. It's not even the front door. And it's just, he finds a way of just making, and you do that too, where it's like, utilize the space you're in.
These stories, these intricate stories from like straight out of his mind, and just pop out.
Yeah, you don't need crazy sets, crazy budgets or gear, just as long as you have the will and the creativity. But don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Oh man, and this has been such a pleasure, man. Are you kidding? I'm just happy we're able to make it work. Like, I really, really appreciate you having me on, and I'm honored to have like had a chance to like chop it up and talk with you for a while. So
likewise. Well, hopefully we will make something creative together soon.
Hell yeah, I would love to. Like, subscribe, don't.
Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. But yeah, make sure.
What's up, guys?
Yo, what's up, guys? That's how it would end. Well, thank you, brother.
Of course, man.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.